Good day and welcome to the dining table. President Biden meets with governors. Here's a summary. Subscribe, like, and share. President Biden recently met with governors through the National Governors Association during their winter meeting. Now, I don't know if they always hold this meeting at the White House, but this year they did. It is governors from red states and blue states that come. All governors are invited. Everyone may not necessarily come, but a good amount were there, and they talk about issues for their that are covering their states. That they doesn't matter what party you are from. Now, President Biden used the time while the governors are drinking sipping on tea and eating croissants to talk to them about the Ukraine security bill. Now, if you've been following the channel, you'll know a little bit more about it, but I'll just tell you briefly. Russia invaded Ukraine 2 years ago, so they have been at war. Many countries have been supporting Ukraine, including the United States. The United States gives Ukraine its weapons and ammunition, and then Congress has to pass funding so that the United States can replenish the ammunition that they've given to Ukraine, because the United States must always have weapons on hand. They can't give it away and say, okay, well, let's hope that Congress gives, because if they need their weapons, they don't have them. So President Biden has been encouraging many to encourage others and encourage uh, Congress members to pass the Ukraine security bill as Ukraine runs out of ammunition, they said. So a journalist is going to ask uh, Press Secretary Jean Pierre about this meeting. Now, I always thought that President Biden was not meeting with his governors and his mayors, but you're going to see in here where the press secretary is actually saying different. So I don't know if someone is lying, or there's just some governors and mayors he's meeting with and some he aren't. There, the migrant crisis is in states that are both Republican and Democratic states. They're in both sanctuary and non-sanctuary cities. So who are these governors and mayors that they've been speaking to for some time? Is it the ones that came to this meeting, or I would love to know that, because many have said that they haven't heard anything or gotten any assistance from the federal government. Now we're going to watch the press secretary. It's a little hard to watch. I'm going to show you shortly, but let's listen.
I mean, look, the president had an opportunity to engage with governors of both, obviously, both parties.
So we're going to start there. Karine, you're the press secretary, and your job is to deliver the information to the world, because not just the American people are watching, but people all over the globe are watching you put out what's happening from the Biden administration for America. And to start off saying, obviously, makes me nervous of what is happening in America, because I obviously don't know. The reason why the reporter's asking you, the reason why you're here, the reason why I'm watching you is because I obviously don't know. So when you say that, it's like an assumption that we should know. And that's the importance of the transparency, but we don't. Let's continue.
Which is something that he does yearly, and they have important items to speak to on the agenda. And obviously, this is an issue that governors care about. We know that even with the bipartisan deal for the border security, obviously that came out of the Senate, we got support from governors. We got letters from governors. We got letters from that included mayors from the cities that were being affected. So we know that we got support from them. And so one way, obviously, to get the speaker to do his job and put it on the floor and actually take it up is for governors to speak up as well. And I believe that they have. Obviously, the letter was a key part of that. And so, look, there are many items on the agenda to discuss. This is something that's important when you think about immigration, when you think about what's happening at the border and how it's affecting these states, these governors. So, yeah, I think it's important for one way the president to show leadership is to also say, and governors to show leadership is to be very clear what this means to them, to their constituents back at home.
Are you planning to follow up with them in the next week if they have had those conversations?
Well, we've been in
So here she's going to talk about being in constant communication with governors and mayors through our crisis, migrant crisis. You're bringing governors to the White House who have been asking for assistance in financially and for the border, um that could bankrupt their cities and their states because of the funding that they need, and the services, and on every administration level, from the health department to the education department to the public safety. These cities and these states are hurting, and she's saying that she's been in constant communication. She's also saying that uh, governors got $1 billion for the migrant crisis. That's something that I have not heard of. Now, $1 billion, will be a lot to me, but $1 billion is not a lot when you think about on a government level when they're giving tens of billions of dollars away to other countries for their security. $1 billion is not a lot, but crime is going up and schools are becoming overcrowded and services are not there because they're coming here with false promises. But yet she said she gave $1 billion. Let's listen.
in regular touch with governors. Obviously, there was $1 billion that we were able to secure to help governors deal with the migrant situation, the migrant issue over the past several months. So we've been in constant communication with governors, with mayors, and so those conversations continue. What you were able to see is the president leaning in and showing how important it is to move with the bipartisan deal as it relates to the border, obviously border security and also obviously the national security supplemental, since we are speaking about the two-year anniversary tomorrow of Ukraine being attacked by Russia. So all of these things are important. We're talking about our national security, the importance of our national security for the American people, and we're also talking about our border and what we need to do to make sure that we deal with the border challenges.
I have a